Hello everybody, welcome back. We are going to go over Module 1 and really just an overview of what to expect in most all of our modules for the course. If you listened to our previous video, if you have not, I recommend going back. The introduction video that just gives us an overview of the week 1. That's going to kind of show you the course structure, explain a little bit more detail. If you haven't listened to that, please jump back and do so. This week I'm going to go over what to expect in Module 1 and we'll go from there. Okay, Module 1 officially starts here, and as you can see, we do have one assignment that is due the Sunday of our first week of class starting. So just to give you a heads up, week 1, the first week, all of your introduction assignments are due. The assignments are due either on Thursday or on Sunday. And we have one reading organizer that is due on Sunday of week 1. The rest of Module 1 will continue on with a second reading organizer being due on Tuesday, our first reading commentary, which is a discussion board, being due on Thursday, and then a assignment, which is our literacy autobiography, being due on Sunday, the second Sunday of our course. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out. So the first thing that you need to do always, I recommend when a new module starts, is to listen to my instruction video because it breaks everything down. The next thing you will want to do is just notice the format of the class. If you click this overview tab, it's going to give you an explanation of what is due during the module. And the next link is our readings. And as you know, there is no required textbook for our course. All readings are within each module. So here is our first reading, which is Module 1 reading on Introduction to Children's Literature. You will click the link and the readings will open up. Within the readings, you will have lots of visual images. There might be additional links that send you out to even other information or other resources. I recommend clicking on those. And there's always various activities throughout. So here's our first one. It's called a Try It, and it's examine the most loved children's books infographic from USC Rose School of Education. So how many of your favorites are on the list and what books do you think are missing? So this is a question in our reading organizer that I'll show you in a moment. The reading organizer asks you to find these try-its and pick one to discuss. So here's our first one. Sometimes they aren't a try-it, sometimes they are a read it or watch it, but for this reading they are called Try It. So you can see there is multiple opportunities within this reading to complete a Try It. You don't have to do all of them, but they're all pretty fun. Okay, so this is where you will notice all of our readings. Like I said, here's additional links that you can click out and watch. There's more try-its there, more book lists. These are all great book lists to bookmark and keep in your pocket because you never know when you need a new book suggestion. Okay, that is our first one, Introduction to Children's Literature. In this module, we do have 2 readings. The first one is Introduction, and that is connected to our first reading organizer, which is due week 1, the Sunday that our course begins. All reading organizers are exactly the same in terms of the questions. So once you do the first one, you will know what to expect going forward throughout the semester. This is connected to Introduction to Children's Literature, which I just showed you. And the first question is, after reading the provided text, you need to answer each question in 75 to 100 words using complete sentences and spelling and grammar. Question 1. Describe a concept or idea from the reading that reinforced or expanded something you already knew before engaging with the text. That is the general question. You can use these sentence starters if you like. You don't have to. So for example, before reading the text, I knew this about children's literature. However, the text reinforced or expanded or improved my knowledge in this way. The sentence starters are just there for you. They make it really easy if you choose to do so. The next question, what do you think is the most important concept or idea shared in the text? And this idea or concept must be different from what you wrote above. So do make sure that they are different. You can use this sentence starter of all the ideas included in the text. I think this is the most important because. And then finally, as I mentioned in the readings, there were multiple try its, read its, or watch its in the text. Our last text just included try its, so you'll just focus on one try it. Describe your experience and learning from the chosen extension. So, as I mentioned, you'll pick one of those activities that interests you, do what they have asked you to do, explore where they have asked you to explore, and then describe your experience or your learning. This is what to expect for every single reading organizer. The questions are exactly the same every week, but the answers will be entirely different because every reading is very, very different. It is always due with the exception of week 1. So this particular reading organizer is due on a Sunday. It will be the only reading organizer due on a Sunday. The rest of your reading organizers will be due on Tuesday every single week of the course. So just expect Tuesday is when you'll get your reading organizer submitted. Okay, so that is due the Sunday of the start of our course. Then we have a second reading, which is called Selecting Children's Literature. It's very similar, but it's going to give you more information. So here's our second reading, Selecting Children's Literature. You will do this reading to go with the next reading organizer. I hope I haven't lost too many of you yet. So our second reading organizer is here, Selecting Children's Literature. That will be due on Tuesday, and that is connected with this reading. Here is a link on finding online books for assignments. I went over this a little bit in the previous video that was made. It's just a resource for you to help you find online books because our first reading commentary will be due Thursday. Every week in our modules, there is a reading commentary that begins on Thursday. That is when the initial post is due. You are required to access 2 books. It can be from a library, it can be from an online reader, it could be from Tumble Books, it could be a YouTube read aloud. And if you've exhausted all those options and you don't want to find an online book, you could also do option 2, which is finding a review of the book. So each reading commentary will give you 2 options. Choose one and then submit. This week we are choosing our favorite books. If you have a favorite book as a child, it will be so nostalgic to go back and find that book. If you can't remember what your favorite was as a child, maybe you know a child or have a child in your life that has a favorite book. That would be fine as well. Option 1 is to find the book or 2 books, either an online version, read aloud, or actual book in your hand. You want to take a picture of the book. If you have a physical book, you can take a picture with your phone or your device. If you use an online version, you can take a screenshot of that book or a picture with your phone. Your option 1 reading commentary initial post should include the title and author, the age range you think this book would be appropriate for, a quick 1-sentence summary of the book, a paragraph describing what takes place in the book without giving too much away, 1 sentence offering your personal judgment of the book, and an image of the books within your thread. You want to do this format for book 1 and book 2. So you should have two explanations of 2 books as well as 2 pictures or screenshots. You want to respond to at least 2 peers on the discussion board. Your responses should be relevant and thought-provoking and go beyond obvious, predictable things such as, hey, great post, love your book. Ask them questions, add some insight. Maybe you have experience with those books. It's to promote a very fluid classroom community, and these discussion board comments can be very helpful in creating those relationships. If you are not going to get access to an actual book, there is option 2. You can do an online search to find 2 of your favorite pieces of literature and locate a review of the book rather than reading the actual book. As you read the reviews of the book, think about what you loved about the book and take pictures or a screenshot of the book. For some helpful review items, there are some reviews of these books here. These are the type of reviews you might look for if you were to choose option 2. Read the review and include the link of the review within your post so that we can click on it and read on it too. And then move forward. The questions are very similar to option 1, title and author, age range you think it's appropriate for, a sentence summary of the book, a sentence describing the book and offering your personal judgment of the book, and an image of the book and the review. You will also want to, for option 1 and 2, respond to at least 2 peers. The format of reading commentaries is they are always due on Thursday, the initial post, and your 2 responses to peers are due on Sunday. It's really important that you do the peer post because it's for a lot of points on the rubric. Our last assignment for Module 1 is the Literacy Autobiography. This is fun because it helps you to really explore who you are as a reader and your reading journey. The first thing you will do is use this reading, The Miller, Chapter 2, to help you explore who you are as a reader. Once you've completed this reading, you will jump over to this template. You will make a copy of this template and then move forward. Based on the type of reader identified in the Miller article, what type of reader are you? Give examples and support your response. This should be detailed, explaining kind of your reading journey and why you think you are what you are. The next one is, how has your identity as a reader changed over time? This should be using details to support your response and should really explain kind of how things have changed. And a lot of times things have changed. Maybe you were a developing reader as a child, and that really kept you from enjoying reading. But maybe as you've gone through time, you have turned into an underground reader. So it's very common for us to change our styles as we go into life. And then finally, are you comfortable with who you are as a reader? Why or why not? And that will be up to you, and there is no wrong answer. The next part is part B and C, and they go hand in hand. You will choose 3 of these questions here to answer in the following boxes. So you can think back and describe a reading memory that you have. This might be a memory of you and your mom or dad or grandparent or brother or sister reading stories at night. This might be a favorite book that you read in 6th grade and you never forgot it. Just describe what that memory is. Number 2, decide a storybook character that you can relate to and describe the character and why you can relate to him or her. You would describe that down here. You could also choose to make a graph of the highs and lows of your reading experiences if you are a graph person, and you can explain how that graph flows with your 5 main events in option 3. Or you can interview someone that you knew as a young reader. This might be a parent, a grandparent, or a family friend or someone close to you that knew you as a reader. You will then explain that interview here. That can be done on the phone, it can be done via Zoom, however you want to do that interview. Once you have completed your 3 out of 4 choices and you have written and expanded upon them, you need to find an artifact to represent each one. So for your reading memory, for example, you don't have to have a picture of that reading memory. Maybe it's an image of the book that you read with your mom or dad that was your favorite. Maybe it was a stock image of just a child and a parent reading. Doesn't have to be exactly your experience in a photo. It can just be a representation. You would include the image of the graph that you made, or a picture of the storybook character. Maybe it was Harry Potter. And then for interview, it might be a picture of you interviewing your parent, or even a screenshot of that interview. Your submission should be a submission of this Google template as well as a submission of the artifacts. If you have any questions, email me through Canvas.